Welcome to Derm Power, where policy meets practice, hosted by the California Dermatology Advocacy Network. In each episode, we examine the legislative and regulatory forces shaping dermatologic care in California and what they mean for physicians and patients. Because protecting patient care means protecting the profession. Today's host is Dr. Haas, CDAN President.
Hello, I'm Dr. Haas, and this is Derm Power, the podcast for the California Dermatology Advocacy Network. You might have heard that at the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, there was an online video circulating of the Ukrainian president telling his people to surrender to Russian forces. Well, that was a fake video, and the Ukrainian president made no such proclamation. That video was a deepfake created using artificial intelligence technology to appear as much as possible like the real person. Fortunately, the Russian video was of such awful quality that it was quickly qualified as a fake, and well, the war still goes on. Deepfake videos appear, though, in many places, from geopolitics to elections. We're certainly seeing that. And as we will discuss today, also in medical advertisements and in misinformation. We physicians have also fallen prey to these deep fake videos to promote fraudulent medical products, services, or simply just to seed distrust in the standard of care. The physician doesn't even have to have a large online presence. You don't need to be an influencer to become a victim. Still, images, a video clip, or sound bites are enough to create a likeness that can be made to say anything, and your permission isn't even required. From a broader perspective, deep fake videos present two problems. The first problem is trying to figure out if the video is a fake, and that can be difficult. The ability to identify a video as fake varies widely. And if an individual believes the video is real, they are often likely to be influenced by it. There is a growing body of research that shows that even if the video is tagged or labeled as fake, it still might influence people. This is particularly true if the viewer agrees with the content or the message of the video, despite knowing that it's a fake. As a matter of fact, there was a very interesting study that was published in the January 2026 Communications Psychology magazine entitled The Continued Influence of AI-Generated Deepfake Videos Despite Transparency Warnings. They did 3 different experiments, and it showed that people continue to rely on the content of a deepfake video despite prior warnings that the videos were fake. That certainly underscores, I think, the limitations of AI transparency. To deal with these issues, nations and states have enacted various pieces of legislation to meet this growing problem. Today, we are joined by Dr. Tina Chen, a dermatologist in Southern California, who is going to share with us her experience of how unauthorized deepfake videos were made of her likeness. And we are also joined today by George Soares, who is a lobbyist for the California Medical Association, and he is going to help us understand what California is doing to meet this danger. Dr. Chen and George, welcome to Derm Power.
Thank you.
Tina, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. I'm a board-certified pediatric dermatologist and dermatologist, and I work for a large multi-specialty group seeing patients in the greater San Diego area.
What happened to you?
Well, last June, a video of me went viral over several social media sites such as Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. The unauthorized video was essentially taken from my employer's website and dubbed over, though they could also just take my likeness and form any video that's very similar. And the frame was actually put within a very well-recognized red CNN breaking news frame. So it looked like this was very urgent and groundbreaking. It was essentially dubbed over saying that they were promoting this new skincare rolling product that would smooth out your skin and help with fine lines and wrinkles. And so, in no place in the video did it have my name or my voice. So, if you didn't recognize me, you would not even know that it was me. It could just be, anybody, an actress, even. But it spoke about how dermatologists and scientists have discovered a groundbreaking tool to help with skin aging and essentially just used my face to try to promote this product.
How did you find out about this?
Well, I did not initially know that this was even out there. Friends from multiple walks of life started to reach out to me, and that's how I learned that I was promoting this so-called product that I was not even aware of. So there were high school friends, college friends, friends from church, or even just my community that I live in. And they would reach out to me saying, "Hey, does this really work? Do you really believe in this? Should I buy this?" And I had no idea what they were even talking about. So someone sent me a kind of a snapshot of one of the videos they saw on Instagram and said, "Is this you?" And it definitely looked exactly like me.
Oh,
So it was kind of a shock.
how did they get the original video? What source was this?
The initial video is the one up on my employer's website that I had recorded to help promote pediatric dermatology for the workplace, speaking a little bit about the types of things that I see and so forth. And they essentially had just taken that video, and I don't even know if they had tweaked it because my voice is then not heard. And I think it also did not show my name tag clearly, so you could not see the name of who I was.
What did you do?
Well, at first I didn't know what to do. I tried to work with the attorneys at my workplace actually to figure out what the best next steps would be. And we thought, well, we can maybe just make it known that we did find out that you're using my likeness and my video inappropriately and ask that it be removed. And I think the first step we did was just reach out to Instagram directly, to which they said, okay, well, if this is not appropriate and you didn't give permission for that, we'll take it down. So they did take it down. But within a day or two, the video is just up again using either the same account or a different account. And so we asked them to take it down twice, actually. And both times, Instagram, once we wrote to them, did take it down, but it would just pop up again. At which point we thought, well, it would be impractical and also a huge resource of our own time tracking this down, reporting each time we see the video to Instagram. And so we wrote and sent a cease and desist letter to the company, at least to the address that was listed on file, to which it didn't do anything. They just ignored it entirely. And I was still all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, probably other social media sites that I just was never even made aware of.
So there was really no trackable information from the company or any way you could have known about who created the video.
No, I had no idea. And actually, this video went completely viral. It was about 1 million views, and that's just only on one platform and for the one video. So it did have a very broad reach. If I had people in my own life from so many avenues reaching out to me, asking me if this is real, if that is me, it did reach a very large audience. And there was no way for me to truly track them down. I don't think I tried calling. I'm not even sure there was a phone number on there. But the address that was listed on the website selling the product, when you put it into Google Maps, did not exist. There was just absolutely no way of knowing who was using my image to promote this.
That would have made it hard. How did all this make you feel?
It made me feel unsettled. I think that at any time, anyone could just use my video, my picture, even to promote something, and in a sense, kind of get away with it, which this company did, because I never did find out who they were. I couldn't find them, couldn't track them. I truthfully don't even know if they were based out of the United States. And there was nothing I could do to prevent that company from sharing that video as often and for as long as they wanted. The entire ordeal lasted a few months. And in the end, I also felt disappointed that there was really no avenue that I could go down to try to track them down. They ignored the cease and desist, and I just had to kind of ride it out until they gave up on that campaign and started anew with a different marketing campaign. And I think, it does, in a way, undermine potentially my professional credibility because patients might not reach out to me, but they would certainly recognize me. People, had they not known me personally, may see this and say, well, I know who she is and I trust her, so I'm going to buy this, only to find out that it didn't do anything and it was part of a scam. So that part's kind of scary.
That is very scary. Absolutely. Okay, George, what does California law currently state about deep fake videos?
California law on deepfake, there's not one single law, right? But instead, there's a growing set of statutes that regulate specific instances and contexts of where deepfakes can be used, such as elections, non-consensual sexual images, commercial impersonations, and digital replicas. Some existing laws, though, on fraud, identity theft, false advertising, can apply in these cases of when physicians in particular are being deepfaked without their consent. But California law needs to be updated to explicitly apply to AI generated technologies. And I think as we hear here, it gives physicians or anyone else who is really having their image or voice used against their consent, give them an actual legal pathway to go defend themselves. Because as we can tell, a lot of folks don't take it serious, whether it be, public institutions or the scammers themselves.
Tell us a lot about Senate Bill 1146. First of all, how did that bill come about?
Taking a step back here a little bit, the California Medical Association, the last few years have been working on artificial intelligence and healthcare bills for a couple of years now, sponsoring one each year, both having been successful and being signed by the governor, which we're very excited about. One dealing with prior auth and AI usage, another one dealing with chatbots who misrepresent themselves sometimes as calling themselves doctor, other types of healthcare professional names, putting parameters around that. So I think we've found that taking narrower approaches on specific healthcare issues as it relates to AI can prove to be more effective and actually implementable with the legislature and the governor. SB 1146 really came out of an idea from the American Medical Association's fall meeting, where they highlighted this as a massive issue kind of across the United States as it relates to physicians being deepfaked with, fraudulent information being out there that they're having their image promote, basically, right? Taken from, different instances like Dr. Chen's referring to here. But that was really how it came to be. And we kind of brought it back with our leadership and with the CMA team and decided, what could we do to kind of get the ball rolling? This is not something that can be done overnight. These are things that get spread on large digital platforms, maybe not even necessarily always their fault that this is happening, even though it is on their platform. And they do seem to, be responsive when you ask to take it off. But, as Dr. Chen said, sometimes the damage could already be done because they've been shared and spread so much. So that was really how this bill came, kind of the origin story of it.
How did you select Senator Gonzalez to run with this bill?
Senator Gonzalez, she was recently the majority leader of the California State Senate, and we've had a long time positive relationship with her because she's also been on the Senate Health Committee. So that there's just typically the issues that mean the most to physicians go through that committee. So we'd had a good rapport with her for the past 5 to 6 years. So that was someone who we thought would be a good author. And we also had supported a bill that she had done, I want to say in 2022, as it related to creating a work group within the state to focus on the growing issue of deepfakes kind of across all sectors. So we thought it was, someone who already had an interest in it and was also on some of the key policy committees.
Yeah, and this is something that certainly would have appealed to her, given her history.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. What is the bill intended to do?
It's difficult, as we've heard, right, to get at every individual last video and whoever shared it, right? Because sometimes it's not even the person that created it who's sharing it, which is causing the widespread issue, but is to ensure that there is some sort of, labeling or disclosure on the bill so that the consumer, when they're viewing it, knows that it is, AI generated. And that will be determined as the bill moves forward, what that would actually look like from from an operational standpoint if the bill is signed. But it would be so that the consumer is informed that the physician that's being depicted there is not actually endorsing this product, and they know that. And if we feel that if that is there on the front end, folks have the chance to be informed. And then two, sometimes these bills can serve as a deterrent once it's kind of out there that, hey, a state legislature and a governor is paying attention to this issue. So maybe we should stay away from, taking a physician's image and trying to use to sell whatever our fraudulent advice or product is. And then the other component of it as well is it gives the Attorney General of California the explicit authority to go after these folks. Right now, like I was saying earlier, it's left a little vague in law because the laws necessarily haven't caught up to, AI generation technology. So this gives the Attorney General explicit authority and also gives the physician who has had their image deepfaked a very narrow but very solid pathway to seek legal remedy against whoever has ripped off their image.
So there would be a label on a video saying this is computer generated, this is AI, this is not the real physician.
Yes.
Okay.
We've seen for decades, right, that there's sometimes actor portrayal of stuff, right? So it's even though this is not the same, this is a little, those are typically legitimate uses, right? But we kind of took it from that concept in law of just ensuring that the public, whenever they're viewing something like this, is informed of who the person in the video actually is.
There are not just video deepfakes, but there are audio deepfakes, just voice. Is there any way that this bill can approach that?
Currently speaking, no. In the bill's current language, there would be nothing that deals necessarily with just explicitly audio. When the audio is being shared in a digital way through a video, right, it captures that, but maybe not just a straight audio recording. But I think that we could certainly hope that something like this does serve as a deterrent for folks that are misrepresenting folks, even if it's just through audio with no digital video aspect to it.
Have there been any amendments?
Some of the amendments that have been made thus far to SB 1146, really, even if sometimes they kind of appear as looking a little more substantive, they've really been to align it with a couple other bills that have been moving through the legislature that deal with the issue of digital replicas and deepfakes as well. So, but this one is specifically tailored towards, healthcare, consumer products, and physicians' images. So it's been to align them with some of the definitions to ensure that they could function together in state law. So that's largely what they've been. And then, like I said, adding that legal clarity that a physician can legally defend themselves. We added that in as well. And then making it clear that there needs to be this warning, this disclaimer on the image, even if it is something that is 100% been generated by AI. No real human physician, right? So it's two approaches, right? Go ahead and create your content using this AI program. And let's say you're not using any real person, you still need to let folks know that it's been generated by AI. But then also, if you're going to be fraudulent and use a physician's image, which is already wrong, we still believe that this disclosure needs to be on there to ensure that the public's informed.
Is there any other language that you think should be added into the bill?
There's nothing that's imminent that needs to be added into it. I think the bill right now is pretty functional and gets going in the right direction. And I think most importantly gives that kind of that legal ability to go after folks, which is we've heard from Dr. Chen as well as folks from other states. It's just really hard to legally defend yourself because the problem gets out of control so quick. It spreads very quickly and has hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of views sometimes. So having that, I think, is extremely important in there. And we always tell to folks, if there's concepts and ideas around how to strengthen it and make it actually operational to where you're not just saying, hey, you need to go after this tech platform, because we don't necessarily know that is a solution that would work here. But, we're open to ideas, but nothing at this point is guaranteed to go into the bill.
This may be an unfair question, but since you are both pretty knowledgeable, one by virtue of what you do and the other one of you because of an unfortunate experience, do you know if there's any technology that exists to either identify and or remove deepfakes before they're even published to the internet?
So the technology to detect deepfakes, it does exist, and it is improving pretty quickly. But the internet right now, it's not structured in a way that allows for, kind of, so to speak, universal pre-posting or publication blocking. So right now it really is kind of a detect, label, and remove, which is kind of, I think, what we've been talking about here tonight, right, a bit, rather than prevent before it's uploaded. So I think it would be great if we could get to that place, but the technology is just not widespread enough. And I do think some of the social media platforms do have mechanisms in place to try to catch it, but I just think it's still being refined.
Fair enough. What are the next steps with Senate Bill 1146?
SB 1146, a couple of weeks ago, passed the House of Origin, which was in the California State Senate. It passed out on a very strong vote with 36 support votes, no votes. The next step is it's heading to the Assembly Privacy Committee on Tuesday, June 16th, where it'll be, one of its policy committee hearings. Then after that, it will go to the Judiciary Committee due to the Attorney General enforcement provision in it. And then after that, it'll go through the rest of the assembly process. And then if we clear all of those hurdles, it will then go to the governor's desk at some point in August.
And we will keep our fingers crossed in hopes that that happens. I can't imagine, but are there any groups speaking against SB 1146?
No, there's been no formal opposition, and just kind of, behind the scenes, kind of in the stakeholder world around the Capitol, there's just been a couple of folks who checked in on potential unintended consequences as it relates to, maybe they don't always control, ad space that they sell. And then someone who's doing something that's maybe fraudulent or using a deepfake video could post it there. So they just wanted to ensure that the bill wasn't targeted to them, but little to no concerns from kind of the larger business and technology communities who would naturally be some of the folks that would be concerned about it.
What can our listeners do to help move this bill forward?
At any point when we have a bill moving through the legislature, but particularly with this one, it's always helpful to call your local, senator or assemblyman. In this case, the bill's in the assembly. So, I would look at the Assembly Privacy and Consumer Protection Committee is the name of it. And you could go down the list. And I think there's about 12 to 15 members or so. And you could give all of their offices a call, their district office or their capital office, and let them know to support the bill when it comes up for a hearing. And then if folks really, are committed to the cause of this bill, you could always draft up and submit a support letter as well into the portal, or you could send to any of those public members' accounts as well.
And we have sent a message from CDAN in support of this bill. I think your efforts and this issue really highlights the importance of joining and supporting the CMA and specialty societies like ours. We're going to be sending this out as a grassroots alert, and we hope that people will sign up. And I think letter writing campaign is in our future. There's certainly a lot of work that we very much appreciate on behalf of the CMA, and that's why we support you. I want to thank you, George, and I want to thank you, Dr. Tina Chen, for joining us tonight and sharing your story and your perspective. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
Derm Power is a production of the California Dermatology Advocacy Network. CDAN is a registered 501c6 organization representing the hardworking board-certified dermatologists in California. Thank you all for your amazing work. Please make sure to follow CDAN on all our social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, so that you never miss an episode of Derm Power. If today's episode sharpened your understanding of how policy impacts practice, then we invite you to join CDAN, especially if you are a board-certified or retired dermatologist. Learn more about our work at www.cadermadvocacy.org. Advocacy isn't optional, and CDAN is dedicated to protecting our patients in dermatologist-led care in California. See you next time.